I'm so happy for this privilege and this opportunity to be here today. There are times when we know that God is speaking, and we know that there is something called the speaking silence. We know that there's a whisper of God. And we know that God doesn't always have to say anything to move. God can move by the remote control of his amazing grace. And what we are clearly seeing is God is moving in such a way, and has moved in such a way, when he, over several years ago, before she was put in her mother's womb, raised up one who was called to be a prophet to the nations. And so we're here today to celebrate, to appreciate what God did before the foundations of the world, when he marked, appointed, anointed one prophetess, Connie Williams, to go to the world and preach the gospel and to compel men, women, boys, and girls to hear ye the word of the Lord. And I want you to know, you truly are the only one I can say prophesied an earthquake in Georgia in 2001, and it happened. And when she prophesied an earthquake, I said to myself, now she has missed God. There are no earthquakes in Georgia. And it happened in 2001 around the fall. And Dr. Connie said, when the earthquake hits Georgia, Atlanta region, it will be a sign that there's a shaking in the region. And I would have you to know that during this time, it was the first time in 100 years that Georgia got a Republican administration. That's when Roy Barnes lost. And you gave the word of the Lord, and just as you spoke it, it came to pass. And we appreciate the word of the Lord is in your mouth. She can just sneeze and you can get revelation.
When you're gifted as you are, Dr. Connie, and you just operate in your you-ness, you just really never know the words that you're speaking. And, you know, it's not like you just wake up and, oh, Lord, whatever you say, I'm just going to obey. You're just being you. And it just flows so freely, but you have no idea how many years people may have been locked up. You have no idea how many nights people have cried to get just what you said out of your mouth. But then you don't know how deep-rooted the word is that comes out of your mouth. And you never know what those seeds that you plant are going to harvest. But it is an honor for us just to tell you that we appreciate you just for being who you are. Thank you, thank you, thank you for the words that you've spoken over my life. She told me I was her movie star. I'm a 40-year-old movie star. No. Amen. 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 Bless the Lord. But I just want to say to you, and I know that a lot of people hear this song, I Shall Live and Not Die, and we take it personally as the things that we are going through. And I just kind of want to put it in another perspective tonight. And because of who you are, and because of what you do and as a prophet, the words that you speak live, and they bring life, and they go on for generations and generations to come. So you will always live through the people you've spoken to. You will always live through the lives that have been touched by you. Always. And it just is so effortless. That's the beauty of it all. You're just effortlessly yourself, causing people to live. And just from the perspective of myself, of so many things that I've asked God to just show me, guide me, just a few words came from you and caused me to come alive. I want to thank you for that. Thank you. I would have been so confused had it not been for you being you. And if I would have been confused, I couldn't live and be. So thank you. Thank you.
She was ministering, and then she said, okay, wait a minute, young man back in the corner, you ain't gonna let me go until I go ahead and prophesy to you right now. And I'm looking around, and I was halfway in church and halfway out of church, and going through some things. Had just received a job. It was 1996. I had just received a job working for a Fortune 500 company. But it was a dead-end job because they told me that I was part-time and I could never make full-time. And you prophesied to me. You told me two things. The first thing you told me was, you said, somebody is going to die or they're going to move out of the way and you are going to be made full-time. You're going to get a promotion on that job. Now, I was at a Fortune 500 company, had no way of making full-time, let alone getting a promotion. Well, a few years later, after believing you and trusting you and working through that, a few years later, what happened, they changed the rules at this Fortune 500 company, and it allowed me to make full-time, not only make full-time, but be promoted into managerial status because of the word that you spoke.
I met Dr. Connie in 1995. They flew me from Germany to Miami, and we were preaching on a platform together. And I was in Germany dying. And I actually stayed there for 10 years. And I met Dr. Connie through the halfway point when we were in Miami. And she told me some things that resuscitated me. And when I went back to Germany, I was a terror to Germany. And it was all because of you. Because of the word of the Lord that you had given me.
I was in Chicago at a church. She stood me up in front of about 2,000 people on the pulpit, and she said, you're getting ready to do an inaugural ball for a president. I said, what is she talking about now? It was in January, and that was the year that Clinton was in office. And of course, you know anything about the inaugural balls, they planned the artists a year in advance. So I said, what is she talking about, inaugural ball? That was Sunday. Tuesday, the inaugural committee called me from Washington, D.C. and said, we want you to come and sing at President Clinton's second installment. And I was like, how did you get my name? And to make a long story short, I went and sang at that ball for 8,000 people, met Maya Angelou, and she looked at me and she said, I see Whitney Houston's producer getting ready to call you. This was when Whitney Houston had just died. And I said, I don't know no Whitney Houston producer. What is she talking about now? And I just, the Bible said, believe on the prophets and you shall prosper. And so I've learned through the years just to obey. I lifted my hand. She said, God said he's going to call you to do a song. Get ready. It's going to be a big hit, blah, 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 blah. I went on. We went out to lunch that afternoon. We were eating, sitting at the table. Who calls me on my phone but Whitney Houston producer? I never met Whitney Houston producer ever in my life. He produced the song, I Look to You. I said, how did you get my number? And he said, you're an agent of yours out of New York. Anyway, make a long story short, I handed the phone to Prophetess Connie. I said, well, here's another one of your prophecies.